to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And this is episode 14. Today we are hosting the Polis Bananas Razzies. We are talking the worst movies of 2022. It should be a fun list because while there weren't that many movies that really stood out that we loved, there were a lot on the other end of the list last year. It's very strange how the TV has shifted to be much better quality, and it feels like the shift in movies has gone in the other direction.
Yeah.
So we'll have a fun discussion about that. But before we move into our Razzies, and also I feel like I don't know if we've ever discussed what we keep using the phrase Polis Bananas, and I know maybe some people don't know what that means at all. But Natasha's last name is Polis. It's kind of like it's our ship name, so to say, because my YouTube channel is called Poland Bananas. I'm actually for the first time, I've been thinking should I change it to Christine Riccio now so that people know? You do think I should?
I've been thinking you should for a while now, just because it's not only, you have three names, Christine. You've got your full name, Christine Riccio, Extine May, which is what I type you in as usually, and then Poland Bananas, which it's like the OG name, but I think it's time. I think it's time, my love.
It's time.
It's time.
I was thinking it was too when someone who commented on the on my YouTube video, and the people there are people that have been subscribed, and they were like, so after I saw the name Christine Riccio, I was like, that sounds familiar. So I Googled it to see who it was, and ... I'm an idiot.
It's happened to me a few times now where I've seen a YouTuber that I used to watch a decade ago, and now their name is their name on TikTok, and I'm like, you look so familiar. Who are you? And then I would have to Google them and figure it out. And it might be time just so that there's that recognition when you see the book and you see the channel, and you can put two and two together. The book, I mean my books and stuff. Yeah. So it might be time, and it'll be really sad, but I think it's been long enough that the Poland Bananas name still is there in your mind. Moving on now to Snap Crackle pop culture news. The Grammys were this week. Yes.
And they were very long, but
they were.
They were so long. I had to pop in and out. Yeah, 4 hours. I couldn't believe it. Natasha was texting me that they had started while I was on the walk with Bellamy, and then I came back in, made dinner, finally got on, and Taylor Swift's thing still hadn't even been called yet. But Taylor, Lizzo, and Harry all won, and Beyonce.
And Adele, all my faves.
And Adele, all of our faves won. Yes. Oh my God. And Viola Davis got the EGOT.
Amazing.
So, Natasha, what was the highlight for you? Lizzo's win was amazing.
Lizzo's win. I mean, when Record of the Year happened, I thought it was Album of the Year. So that was I'm like, oh my gosh, it's either going to be between Harry and Beyonce. So my mind was all made up that one of those two was going to win. And then it was Lizzo. And I was like, yes, my favorite. And she's just the best. She really has the best speeches. Her performances were the best of the night. Her performance was the best of the night. Her vocals were amazing.
Top notch.
She says that she's not a singer, but I've never really thought that about Lizzo. I've always thought she was an amazing singer, but she sounded incredible last night, and her riffs and she was just beautiful and everything, and she was so happy, and she had a bunch of the cameramen at the Grammys just caught all the craziest moments of Ben Affleck and Jennifer, and then Lizzo was turning to the camera, and Adele was confused at one point. It was hilarious.
There are so many memes. My entire TikTok and Twitter feed was of Taylor Swift getting up to go talk to Harry Styles and standing and clapping for Harry when he won Album of the Year. So, yeah, when Harry won Album of the Year, the videos of people who were actually there, you can hear in the background someone screaming, "Get off the stage," and Beyonce should have won. And Taylor, like, pops out of her seat and starts clapping for Harry. And she stands for, like, his whole speech. And it was sweet.
Yeah, it's I mean, unfortunately, I do think, like, I wanted Beyonce to win because she's never won Album of the Year. But I do think, now, because this is a very controversial subject, like, I do think it was Harry's year. Like, I really thought he was going to win. So when he won, I wasn't at all surprised.
No, but it was like when Olivia Rodrigo won last year. It's like, it's been a year full of Harry.
And you know what? And it's subjective, you know, like what actually is like your favorite album of the year. Like,
of course.
I mean, I would have loved Lizzo to win because I think she also had an amazing album, but it's just, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite, but it definitely felt like Harry's year because of all of his songs like charted #1. And, you know, next year is probably going to be Taylor again because she's had like the most craziest success. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, I really wanted Lizzo to win because I feel like just like Harry, it's been her year too. Yeah. She's had so much going on and so many highlights. But you know, when someone's on stage, you don't scream someone else should have won. It's just like so shitty. And like Harry said, he said exactly what you said. Like, there's no best music. Like, there's no best album. Like, none of it. It's just so subjective from person to person. So, but Lizzo's speech when she won made me cry. It was so good and so adorable when she got to talk to Beyonce on stage like that. And I was just like, oh my God, what a moment. So Lizzo has said a lot that she was so inspired by Beyonce growing up, and on stage while she accepted her Grammy, she like pointed to Beyonce and was like, "Beyonce, where are you? You changed my life." Like, I should have gotten the clip up because it was beautiful, and it was like this. Everyone has that person, I think, growing up that has a creative dream that like inspired them, and that they're a little fangirl when they were a child, but no one really says that, I feel like, on stage accepting their Grammy. And it was so beautiful to see this.
Adele did the same thing when she was up against Beyonce.
Really?
For Lemonade. She was up against Beyonce for Lemonade, which I do think she should have won for Lemonade. I don't know. It's hard.
I think she should have won for Lemonade. She didn't win for Lemonade?
No, she didn't. She's never won Album of the Year, which is like the most important.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Adele won, and Adele gave accolades to Beyonce. So like, it just, all three of those women love each other so much, and it's just such the whole. Besides the Album of the Year, the entire energy of the Grammys was just so so like loving. Everyone felt like they were like supporting each other until that last award, which was very unfortunate.
Yeah. And okay, going back to the shots of J-Lo and Ben Affleck, there's so many memes because J-Lo was like, "Sit up straight, what are you doing?" She has this moment where she like turns to him and is like, "What are you doing? Sit up straight." And it's everywhere. He's like, oh. And Ben has this like one face that he does when he's near J-Lo, like, and like this supportive but stoic face. I'm like doing it to the camera like, you can see me, you can't.
Well, if people are watching on YouTube, they can.
Yeah, you can.
But it's so funny because I feel like he's so different with J-Lo versus like Jennifer Gardner. I felt like he was much more like, I don't know, jokey and silly with Jennifer Gardner. I know they're different.
Everyone has been saying though it's because he's sober and he had a drinking problem before. Yeah.
Oh,
and
oops.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But I just saw it all over socials under the memes because people were saying the same thing. And they were like, well, now he's sober and it's a different vibe.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm proud of him then.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And I mean, I wonder if that had something to do with he and J-Lo getting back together or why they split in the first place.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to say someone decoded what Taylor went over to Harry to talk about. She wanted to like congratulate him on his performance, and then you can see him doing this because the turntable
went the wrong way. I know. I saw a dancer talking about it. So yeah, there's this turntable on Harry's performance, just like in the music video. And I thought it looked weird when I was watching the performance. And I was like, why does the choreography feel so like it doesn't feel right? It didn't feel like it was choreographed. And the dancers were like trying to reverse the choreography that they'd rehearsed over and over again, the opposite direction. Yeah, it's so hard. Right on the spot, live at the Grammys. Yeah, they did a really good job covering it up. It just didn't look as tight. Like if you watch the music video, Harry's dancing performance is so good. And I just felt like he felt confused too, which obviously he was. He almost tripped getting off of it there, when he was coming down from the spinning disc. So that's rough, man. But yeah, I loved all the Taylor Harry memes. But after a while, I'm like, okay, this is my millionth time seeing this pop up in the feed. We get it.
I did see Harry though on last week, so it was really just because I enjoy Harry. I've never listened to all of his songs before until obviously the 3-hour drive I took to Palm Springs to go see Harry. And then now I'm obsessed with him. And I get it. I just think he's so much better live. He's so much better performing. His songs are a bit sleepy, as I told you before, Christine. But him live is something else. Like, it's just like the fangirl. Like, I felt like I was in an Elvis concert or something, like back in the 1950s. And I was just like screaming because he was just like right there. And he's so good at what he does.
Yes, exactly. That's what sold me on him too, because I was never blown away by the music until As It Was. And it's because I saw him perform it in the music video and you could just feel the energy and the vibe there. And then I loved that song. And then I started watching him live. I think the big game changer for a lot of us was when he performed. TikTok. No.
No, what?
No, when he performed at, now I just blanked on the name of
Coachella. Yes.
When he performed at Coachella, it was a game changer. He headlined one of the nights there and it was amazing. And that's when everyone first, I feel like clips of that went viral all over socials. And then everyone got extra interested. I was already getting interested because of As It Was. But after that, I was like, whoa, that was a great performance. Yeah. And yeah, T-Swift was a little drunk at the Grammys, having fun, and she's just like one of the only people standing up and dancing the entire time. I was like, that's me!
Me too! I loved it.
Yeah, it's so cute. And there's just like a cameraman standing right in front of her.
She didn't care.
I know. Well,
no
I
fucks
bet it's
were
like
given.
That. It's like that everywhere she goes, probably. You know, there's just like a guy like with the camera pointed right at her because we got to get the shot of Taylor Swift dancing to all these songs. So Taylor won on an off-screen Grammy for music video of the year for All Too Well. So All Too Well, the music video, has officially garnered all the awards, I feel like, at this point. Yes. Okay, let's breeze through our few other do we have anything else to say about the Grammys? Beyonce won Best Dance Album of the Year. So she did win something, not Album of the Year. Lizzo won Record of the Year. Harry won Album of the Year. Taylor won Music Video of the Year, just to clarify, because we didn't say. All right, next item on the list here. Natasha, what is it?
Okay, so I have been waiting for the announcement of when the fuck are they going to tell us when the next Bridgerton season is going to come, okay? They haven't announced it yet. I'm so irritated. However, we do have news that they're releasing Bridgerton: A Queen's Story teaser trailer on Valentine's Day. So hopefully we have a release date for A Queen's Story, which is the story of Queen Charlotte, and we get to see her fall in love with King George. And then
what?
You don't know this? Okay,
no.
I forget that people aren't as big as Bridgerton fans as I am.
Wait, the Queen's story with her husband who's ill now?
Yes, 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 yes.
What? Wait, we're going back in time?
We're going back in time, yeah, and we also get to see
the whole season's about this?
So this is not Bridgerton season 3. This is it's
like a
whole other
movie?
thing. It's a whole other series.
A spin-off
A
series?
spin-off series, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So we
I
get
didn't know
to
this was happening.
So everyone young we get to see. So like all the moms, what's her face? Lady Frick, Simon's.
You mean all of the adults, not everyone young.
Sorry, all the adults we get to see young. Yeah, so like the
Okay.
Bridgertons, and Lady whatever her name is, Simon's aunt. I can't remember her name.
This is not helpful. We don't know anyone's name. Lady whatever name. So like everyone's name is Lady whatever name, Natasha.
Let me look it up.
So I'm assuming that everyone who's an adult is a teenager. Probably.
Yes.
In this
Yeah.
series. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Duchess lady is probably also an adult.
The Duchess lady.
You know, the cool... Isn't she the Duchess?
Lady
The
Danbury.
Yes. Yeah. She's so cool.
Yeah, so Lady Danbury, we get to see her love story because her husband's sadly passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then Bridgerton mom. Why I can't think of her name. Lady
I don't
Bridgerton.
know her name. Lady Featherington, too?
Oh, I'm
Julie
sure.
Cooper? Oh, no,
I'm
she's not
sure.
Julie Cooper. That woman looks so much like Julie Cooper, but it's not Julie Cooper. Did you know that?
I don't know who
Okay.
Julie Cooper is.
She is from the OC. She's Marissa's mom. And she is
Oh,
younger
she
than
does
that
look
woman.
so much like her.
She
I know
looks
exactly.
a lot like her. Yeah, but she's not her. All right.
So yeah, so the teaser trailer for Queen's Story drops on Valentine's Day, and then hopefully we'll get announcement dates. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to see A Queen's Story by May or June, and then Bridgerton season 3 by August. But we'll see.
All right. We're waiting for Mrs. Maisel season 5 to drop too. They've wrapped and it's coming sometime soon. Okay. A couple other things real quick. Survivor season 44. I want to say we're on season 44.
Don't ask me.
Yeah. Survivor season 44 is March 1st. It's coming so soon. I did not realize we're getting back to Survivor already. The time is moving fast. And Shadow and Bone season 2 is coming March 16th. And the new season of You comes out this week. Did you know that? It's on Thursday. I'm very excited.
I'm not caught up with You.
Oh, Natasha, season 3 is so good. Season 3 is the best season of You. You have to watch it. You'll want to not stop the second that you start. Wait, are you sure you haven't watched it?
Oh, I haven't even seen season 2 yet.
Woo! Oh my god, that is a treat. You're gonna love it. You should watch it. You gotta watch it. I was considering rewatching it because I loved it so much. Like, it's a dark love, but I love it.
It's a dark love. I love it.
All right. I think that is it for our Snap Crackle Pop That is it for our Snap Crackle Pop Culture News this week. We're gonna move right on to our What Right Now section, but before we do, I want to quickly remind everyone that first, thank everyone for listening and being here and supporting the show. Remind you that we really appreciate any support. You can follow us for free in your favorite podcast listening app. You can subscribe for free on YouTube. If you're watching the YouTube video, please click the like button, comment, leave us a comment. We love discussing with you in the comms. And we also have a Patreon called patreon.com/thosewordingfangirls.
Also in our show notes.
Yeah, the link is in our show notes, and we've recently moved Fangirl Tea Time to the $5 tier to make it more accessible. So if you pledge $5 a month, you get our half an hour extra show where we dig into much more personal topics. We talk about our lives and just deeper, more personal stories that maybe we don't feel comfortable sharing on the regular show, but we're comfortable sharing with our close-knit Patreon community. And there's lots of other perks over there. Our $10 perk has Our $10 tier has some brand new perks over there. You also get like our movie commentaries. You get an extra show every month. And we are doing personal thank you videos for everyone who subscribes to the $10 tier and up. And $15 has its own perks. You can go check it out over there. But yeah, we're really, really appreciative. We can do this podcast because of your support. And we hope to continue to expand and grow with all of y'all. All right, moving on to what right now. Natasha, what are you reading this week?
Well, we're both reading the same thing. We're reading Chain of Thorns.
We are, by Cassandra Clare, which is the third book.
What chapter are you on?
It's the third book in the Last Hour series, which follows the children of the characters from the Clockwork Angel series, The Infernal Devices. All right, what chapter are you on? Oh.
I'm on hold on. I think I'm on chapter 13 or 14. I didn't get very far.
Shit on a stick. The thing is with these digital copies, it just says like 17 things left in this chapter. I know, it's so annoying. I have to like flop ahead. Okay, I'm on chapter 15. 13. I'm on chapter 15.
I'm going to read it today. I'm going to pass you.
Wait, I don't even know if I am because my phone doesn't update to where I actually am on the iPad. Listening? No, I'm not. Oh yeah, I'm way ahead of this. Hold on.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like I have highlights and stuff in further chapters and it still hasn't updated, which is so stupid. Oh, I'm on chapter 17 maybe. Let's see if I got past this.
Oh God, yeah. I stopped right in the middle of a very important conversation.
I stop in important conversations all the time. Okay, I'm on chapter 17.
Wow, you're really far ahead of me.
I'm at the 40% mark, I guess, approximately, which I felt like I read so much. And then I checked the percentage yesterday and I was at 33%. And I was like, are you fucking kidding? I'm going to be reading this forever. It's like a 784 page book. And I just, without the physical copy, it's impossible to gauge where you are because so much happens that you could read like and feel like so much has happened. And you're like, wait, I'm only 40% through. Mm-hmm. I'm at a good part though. Like I'm happy that this stuff is happening now because that means that other stuff is going to happen before the end of the book. And that is so vague, but I love the book so far, basically.
I'm just scared. There's already been like a lot of things happening and it's like, what's going to happen next?
This is the most vague conversation of all time. We should move on.
Okay. What TV show are you watching, Christine?
I finished The Circle season 4 and I think it's my favorite season of The Circle thus far. They had a great cast this season. It was really touching and they had some great catfishes this season. I really loved the catfish duo and I cried when the winner won. I was just very emotional. I loved it. And I watched the first 2 episodes of season 2 of How I Met Your Father, which is, you know, the kind of revamp of How I Met Your Mother starring Hilary Duff. And while it's not half as clever, it's still like fun and cute. I love Hilary Duff. So it's a fun, airy, light watch.
Hilary Duff just keeps getting better with age. Like
she does.
Hot. Like she is like gorgeous. She's hot though, but like wow.
She is. She's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's had 2 kids, I think, right? I think she's had 2 kids. Like, and like when she's in this like little yoga outfit in episode 2, and I was like, wow, she's really hot. What are you watching this week?
So I've been sick. So I've actually had time to watch some things. I finished Love is Blind finally, and then I kind of want to start The Circle, but I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. But I started.
It's a good time when you're sick to watch The Circle.
Yeah, I started a German TV show called The Empress on Netflix, and it's all in German, but it's incredible. So it's about the Austrian queen. Her name is Sissy, and this is it's kind of like a Queen Victoria-ish type of story, but not. They made a movie about her in the 1950s, and it is some of the most gorgeous costuming I've ever seen in a film before. And it's always all of her stuff is everything from that film is continuously like pinned on Pinterest because it's so beautiful. But it's a German TV show, so it was interesting for me to pick a show when I don't really feel great and have to read everything, but it's so good, and I highly recommend you watch it, especially if you're really into historical period dramas, because I was definitely looking for another historical period drama. But yeah, Emily says it doesn't get enough love, and it's incredible. It definitely is incredible, and we've got like spicy times. It's great. I love it.
Nice. There's another, I think it's a German show, Dark, that everyone says to watch on Netflix. But the thing is that when I'm watching these shows, I'm usually also like cooking or something, and I miss the subtitles. So you have to like sit and be able to read the subtitles.
Remember, I was telling you, I'm like, I can't seem to not pick up my phone and scroll TikTok while I'm watching a show, and this is what made me stop picking up my phone because I had to read.
Yeah, that was like Squid Games, which was so good. And yeah, you don't touch anything because you're reading the subtitles and you're so into it. It's you have to watch that too. So I know. All right, movies. What'd you watch movie wise?
Okay, another period drama. It's Lady Chatterley's Lover, and this came out a few months ago.
So many,
but
like lady this, lady that.
Lady. You know what? I'm a big historical period drama
Mr.
connoisseur.
List.
I've seen everything. So this is a novel that was written back in like the 1920s or 40s in early times. It takes place after World War I. And it was a banned novel for a long time because it's very scandalous. And it's about a woman whose husband comes back from war and he gets paralyzed. And he encourages her to take on a lover so that they can keep they can have an heir. And so she falls in love with her lover. And this movie, let me tell you, this was like
Is that the plot of The Theory of Everything? Sorry. That's what I got from the trailer.
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen that movie.
I didn't either. Okay, go on.
But this movie is softcore porn.
Where did you watch it?
It's on Netflix. It's by Netflix. So, yeah, I was not expecting all of that. It's like Atonement if Atonement had like a lot of sex in it. And like full frontal nudity. It's the lady who plays Princess Diana in The Crown. She's been in a lot of things recently. And she feels like a very young, like, Jodie Foster to me. But, yeah, it was hot.
Nice. This week last week we talked about our favorite comedy specials of the year, and Abby was talking to us about Nick Kroll's special, so I went and watched it, and it was so good. It's called Little Big Boy. It's on Netflix. It was so cute. It was very wholesome comedy about his love life, taking it from like middle school all the way to now, and it was so good. You should watch it, Natasha. I think you really like it.
I will.
Thank you for the rec, Abby. Yeah, it's completely changed my opinion of Nick Kroll because previously all I thought of him as was the radio guy from Parks and Rec. So he was very cute. And I also, like I said I would, watch Top Gun Maverick.
Yay.
And Top Gun Maverick kind of reminded me of how cool movies are. And I like just sat there like crying as they did their mission. And just like amazed at all this shit that Tom Cruise does. And then afterward I got lost in the behind the scenes stuff on YouTube, and I watched this half-an-hour special with James Corden on Paramount Plus, and it was so funny.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god, I loved it so much. Basically like Tom Cruise invites James Corden to do a Top Gun day with him, and he flies him around in these little planes and does all these fucking wild airplane tricks with James Corden in the back. James is like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever agreed to. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
I love him. He just does all these wild things with Tom Cruise, and it always pays off.
Yes, it was a great half an hour special. So I would highly recommend watching that. A lot of people don't like James Corden, and
I mean,
so funny.
He's funny. There's just a lot of things he does that is questionable. So that's why. I don't know all the details about, but
I don't know the details either. But every time I watch like his interviews and his little specials with different guests, I enjoy them. So that's what I'm judging off of.
Yeah, he's the one who started carpool karaoke, like iconic.
Yeah, I know. Iconic. I know. And like stuff like this, iconic. Like fantastic. And there's this moment while they're in the plane together and they're just having this really natural conversation, and it's really nice. Like, it kind of reminded me of like a little snippet from Armchair Expert, because they're both like having this very casual conversation that you'd have with a friend, and it's up in the air in this like fighter jet. It's really cute. Yeah. Anyway, Top Gun Maverick, good movie. There's this one like thirst trap section that I just wasn't expecting, and it's just like all of them like shirtless and glowing on the beach playing football.
How did you not see this on TikTok?
Because first of all, I don't watch much TikTok, and second of all, I didn't see the movie or any trailers, so where was I going to see this?
Yeah, this is what started the Miles Teller like thirst. I
figured when I was watching it, I'd already heard you say that phrase, so I assumed that this is why. But everyone was just ripped, like shredded. Like, and then Tom Cruise comes up and he's just as shredded as all these youthful guys. I was like, holy fuck. And then Jennifer Connelly looks great.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just like, Jennifer Connelly in this movie just plays this like seductress who like looks at you with that look from afar, like, ooh yeah.
I love her, yeah.
I love her too, but like I feel like her role in this is very much like this
very 80s.
Yeah, this like sexy bar lady on the side.
Sexy bar lady on the side. You know who is Jennifer Connelly's husband, right?
No, who?
It's Paul Bettany, who plays Vision.
Wait, Vision?
They're married. They've been married for like 15 years, I think.
Wow, did not know that. How interesting. She looks great. I haven't seen her in a while. She's beautiful.
She's always one of my favorites.
All right, let's move on to our Razzies. Da, 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 da.
Yay!
Wow, what a theme song I just made. Duh. All right, so we are going to we're going to go through our 10 worst movies of 2022 plus superlatives, my favorite. And we're going to kick things off with the most disturbing movie of 2022. Now, disturbing doesn't necessarily mean bad, but if it could give you the bad feelings. Disturbing is not a fun feeling to feel, in my opinion.
Okay.
Natasha, share yours.
So, my most disturbing movie of this year is Barbarian, and this came out I think in the fall. It's you think it's okay, they set up the movie really cool where I thought it was going to be something else, and then it turns into this whole other film, and it's honestly terrifying and then a little bit too much. But it's another like scary movie. It's with the guy who plays it, the Alexander Skarsgård brother. I can't think of his name. And you think because we know him to be like a person who plays bad people, like you think he's gonna be the bad character, but it's like a Psycho situation where like he's not the main focus of the whole movie. There's like something else that's the main focus. I couldn't honestly take it. So I remember I watched the movie and I was like, I don't know if I can like keep watching this, Alex. This is freaking me out. So I ended up reading spoilers of the end of the film while we were watching it because I needed to know because it was giving me such anxiety. But yeah, most disturbing movie.
It's really hard to keep watching the movie when it's making you so anxious. And that's the same thing that was happening to me when I was watching my most disturbing movie, Fresh. Did anyone watch this on Hulu? Because I had no idea what it was going to be about because, of course, I don't look at any of that stuff. I was just hearing that it was really good. And it had Sebastian Stan in it and the girl that's been showing up in a lot of stuff lately. I forget her name right now.
You met her
Daisy?
in real life.
Yes, I did. Is it Daisy? I want to say her name's Daisy. But she's also in Normal People. And so
Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yes. So I start watching this movie and and I knew it had like a horror theme to it, but it didn't look like a horror movie per se. It looked like a thriller to me. And we get to like the crux of it, of like, I don't know, maybe it's like half an hour in, and the guy that she's been dating chains girls up in this house in the woods and then sells their meat on the internet. He like slowly chops pieces off of them, keeping them alive as long as possible to fucking sell their meat. It's absolutely disgusting. It's so disturbing. I was like, what the actual fuck? And we see him just like slicing up a leg, like just like one of these women's legs, and then you see these other women that like are so mutilated by this disgusting man. I can never look at Sebastian Stan again. I already didn't like him because of I, Tonya. And
you
then
don't like Sebastian?
No, because I don't like Bucky and I don't like I, Tonya. And now I'm like, ew, this is the most sick and twisted role I've ever seen in my motherfucking life. And it wasn't a bad movie, but it was so disgusting. I could not watch it all at once. I took like 3 weeks to come back to it. I was like, I gotta finish it. And it had a satisfying ending, but it was so disturbing. You watched it too, right?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I watched it with Francis. And I was living. I loved this concept.
I was living?
It was great. It was a great film.
Oh my God, Natasha.
No, but it was so disturbing.
Scary.
No. It's disturbing and scary, and I couldn't I when she was just laying on her stomach and he was just like
oh my God, he was just like sawing off her ass.
Yeah, that part.
Oh my fucking God. It was so disturbing.
Yeah.
And they like pay different amounts for different parts of the body. It's disgusting.
Yeah. So,
and he's a surgeon.
I forgot about this movie, and then it wasn't on my bad list. It was like in the neutral list, but I can see it's definitely disturbing.
Yeah. Well, I can't even, it's gross. It's just like, it's also the concept of it was like, she met this guy in person and she's been doing online dating and it sucks. And she meets this guy in person and you're like hoping that this is going to be the person, you know? And that he's a fucking psychopath. And he's also like, I'm a surgeon. And when you meet someone, you're like, they're a surgeon. It's like, whoa, that's impressive. It's like, turns out he's a surgeon so he can fucking cut you up and sell you on the internet for parts.
And then he serves her too. Like he has like a whole date because he's delusional.
No, but he serves the other girl on the date. It's disgusting.
Yeah. No, I mean like they're on.
Oh,
like, a
you
date.
mean? Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. He has. Well, she uses the date to try to get escape, and he serves her like one of the women there's liver that she's been talking to through the wall. Or maybe not the liver, another woman that's dead now that he, part of her, I think it was liver. It was disgusting.
Yeah, gross. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Most
oh my gosh.
enjoyable bad movie of 2022,
Most
Christine.
enjoyable bad. I love a good enjoyable bad movie, and I know some people didn't think this was enjoyable bad, but maybe because they had high expectations or something. Mine is Jurassic Park Dominion. I watched it while I was so stressed out on deadline, and I saw it come onto Peacock, and I was like, this is my reprieve. I need a break. And I had so much fun watching this ridiculous movie. There were so many references that I was like, oh my God, that's a reference to Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic Park 3. There was like references in the script, references visually. And then there was like an Eclipse reference with like Bryce Dallas Howard doing this thing where she like sinks under the water with half of her face. And I was like, that's a shot right out of Eclipse.
Really? Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh, you're right though.
Yes. And it was just so funny. And there was these dinosaurs that I was obsessed with when I was 6 years old with like, they're kind of on all fours and they've got these ridges down their back. Are they called like a stegosaurus or something? And they were in the movie in the cave and it was so cool to see them. I was like, I know you guys. I've never seen you in Jurassic Park. This is so cool. They had some fun moments. I agree with you. Hysterical.
I had a good time watching the movie. Like it wasn't
good.
It wasn't a bad movie. I mean, it was a good bad movie.
Like they had some fun lines too. I just really enjoyed also like all the different people meeting each other. I love seeing Laura Dern and Dr. Oh, what's his name?
Oh,
Doctor. His name is Sam, the actor.
Yeah.
Dr. Grant. Dr. Grant. Dr. Grant. Yes. I love Dr. Grant. I live for Jurassic Park 3, so when there were like Jurassic Park 3 references, which there were, I got so excited.
You like Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah. It's only the best Jurassic Park other than 1.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay,
Number
Jurassic
2.
Park 2 is a piece of shit. I
No,
don't
it's
understand
not.
why anyone likes it. Me and Paul were just discussing this yesterday. Like, nothing happens, and none of the good characters are there. Why does anyone like it?
I love Jurassic Park 2. That is my favorite, next to number 1.
My favorite next to number 1 is 3.
There's
a plane crash, Natasha.
The whole scene in San Diego, like iconic.
Ew, I can't even remember that because it was so bad.
That's the best part. Julianne Moore, I freaking love her.
So bored during Jurassic Park 2.
I do not
Jurassic
agree
Park
with you.
3 is my vibe.
Jurassic Park 3 is full of a lot of Jurassic Park 3
not yet.
is full of a bunch of stupid decisions that a bunch of stupid people make, especially that stupid kid.
What are you talking about?
That's stupid kid.
Yeah, he wants money. The doy.
Okay, moving on. My most enjoyable bad movie of 2022 is Hocus Pocus 2. Did you watch this?
I did not watch this. I'm sorry, they're very loud right now, and I cannot stand it.
It's okay.
I can't stand these leaf blowers. And I have, like, ever since that episode of Flightless Bird, which is an armchair expert podcast where they talked about leaf blowers, I felt so validated in my hatred of these fuckers. Like, there are electric leaf blowers that are much better for the environment and much quieter.
Yep.
But everyone uses these bad for the environment, super loud, disruptive fucking leaf blowers.
Yep.
And they're so distracting. And everyone's working from home now, and it's just like,
there's no need. Let's upgrade people. Okay, so Hocus Pocus 2, if you didn't see it, it's fine.
Oh, I didn't see it.
So we all knew it was going to be bad. Like, I don't know why people expected this movie to be good, because it wasn't. But honestly, like, I wanted to put it in the most funniest last week. And it, because there's this whole scene in a CVS pharmacy where the kids are trying to convince the witches that they can have, like, youthful skin. So they go to the skincare aisle and then they're putting on, like face sheet masks, and just Sarah Jessica Parker is like, is this the skin of little children? Like, they keep trying different skincare. It's just so stupid, but honestly, absolutely hilarious. It was great. No, I really loved that movie. But it was bad also.
All right. Yeah, it looked like it was going to be so bad that I have the heart to watch it because I'm not a huge Hocus Pocus 1 fan. Of course, I watched it a bunch of times when I was young, but I'm not one of those people that's like, oh my god, Hocus Pocus. You know, like there's a lot of people who love it.
Yeah.
So I did not watch it. Moving on though. To the most meh movie of 2022.
I can't believe this.
Are you talking
about
mine?
What the fuck? Yes. Share yours.
My most meh movie of 2022 was The Batman.
No.
It's because I wanted it to be really good, and it was really long.
It was really good.
No, to me it wasn't enticing. It didn't keep my attention because there wasn't enough character development and character moments. It was all about Batman being a detective and not about the characters and who he is and the arc of him as a person or the arc of Catwoman as a person. Like, we didn't get to know anyone as a human as much as I would want to. It was more about the plot than it was about the characters. And I'm a character-driven lady.
I don't agree with you.
And there weren't enough, like, philosophical moments. This is what I love about The Dark Knight. Like, they're constantly presenting you with these situations where you are put in an unwinnable situation where you have to really think philosophically about, like, do you save the one or do you save the many, or like, do you do this or that? Like, and it's morally gray, and I love those thought processes and the spirals it puts you into, and it's very thought-provoking in general. That movie just like can send you thinking in so many different directions, and this movie sent me into a sleep, so I was trying not to fall asleep at the end. Rob barely had any lines, it's true.
The music is great. Okay, do you think that Christian Bale's first Batman is better than this Batman? Like his first, what's it called? The Dark Knight?
No, it's not called The Dark Knight. It's called Batman, I think. Or the first Batman. It's called something Batman. Batman Begins. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I honestly, that movie's not as bad as I remembered it to be. I remembered it to be boring when I first saw it when I was like 14. And then I watched it again and I was like, oh, it's fine. I think I like that one better because I don't remember falling asleep. It's just a lot of fighting too. Okay, when there's too many fight sequences and not enough dialogue, I literally fall asleep. Like, my brain just goes off. That's what happened with Star Wars. Like, the second Star Wars, I could not stay awake. Okay, that's everyone's favorite.
Which second Star Wars?
The original ones. There's this big battle in the snow with all these robots, and I literally couldn't. I was trying so hard, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. And this happened in, like, I was watching Alien and Alien 2, and there's just not enough dialogue in those, and I was falling asleep. And Paul was getting so mad at me. I was watching them with my brother, and he was like, "What are you doing? Wake up!" And I'm like, "I'm so sorry. Like, it's impossible for my brain to stay awake because they're not talking enough."
Oh my gosh. Okay, now I understand your issues because I love all those movies because I love all the action scenes. It's so thrilling. I am the shadows. Here's the thing though, the first Batman Begins, I just hate all of the building up and who's like the secret society people that he goes to fight. Liam Neeson. The Khazak Dune or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's where he learned to...
that's the most boring sequence, I think, in any film I think I've ever seen.
Not as boring as Batman.
No, Batman. I don't agree.
No, I remember I thought that was boring the first time, too. But the second time, when I had more backstory, like when I had the forward story, I was more interested in the backstory. Like, when you watch The Dark Knight Rises, a lot of that like references back to the first one, and then I wanted to understand it. So when I went back and watched Batman Begins, I cared more.
Okay.
Anyway, what was your most mad movie of 2022?
Black Adam. Listen, they're almost every single for me, except for the Batman, every single superhero movie is on my list. So, but Black Adam is the most meh movie. Honestly, I was really having a hard time trying to fill this spot because it was a mix up between all the superhero movies this year to go in the meh movie. but I put it there because they were teasing Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, and then that's not happening.
Oh,
so
yeah.
literally the most meh movie because it's not going to happen. And anyways, the film itself was just ridiculous and overrated and dumb. It was terrible.
Savage.
Yes.
All right. I didn't watch Black Adam, so I can't comment. But
you're not missing anything.
I heard I wasn't missing anything, so I didn't watch it. All right. Next superlative is the most disappointing movie of 2022. So that's a movie you are really hyped for, and it really let you down. Natasha, you want to go first here?
Yes. Okay. So we had another historical period drama. We had we had a Persuasion, which is Jane Austen's last finished novel that she published, that Netflix brought to the big screen. It starred Dakota Johnson, and it was the fucking worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So you'll see this again on my list because I was so excited for this movie, and it was a massive disappointment. Because so they tried to modernize Persuasion and then ended up changing the character in her entirety. Like, she's supposed to be she's just I don't even know how to explain it. I did a review of this on TikTok. They had her breaking the fourth wall and it just didn't work. And they put a lot of like millennial lingo in there that didn't really work for the dialogue because everything
lingo?
Yeah, it was all like extremely modernized. Whenever she broke the fourth wall, it was extremely modernized lingo, and then everything that they were speaking and talking to each other, it was like the classical, like old English way. So it just didn't flow. And I think if you watched it and you didn't know the backstory of Persuasion, you might enjoy it, but maybe not because it gets so annoying because of how often she breaks the fourth wall. So it's
Yeah. Did you watch The Flight Attendant? Because that was...
Oh, yeah. I watched the first season and I didn't like it.
They did a similar thing where they weren't necessarily like breaking the fourth wall, but she was like talking to herself in her mind palace.
Yes.
And they did it so often that it was the most frustrating, annoying. I couldn't finish the season, and I watched all the episodes except for the last one because I couldn't stand it. They were overusing it to the millionth degree. It was unnecessary. Like, they would just repeat things that we've already repeated 1,000 times. And that's it could be a really fun storytelling
device
tool. Yeah. But they hit it over, like knocked you over the head with it over and over and over again. They ruined it. And that sounds like what they did in Persuasion, because breaking the fourth wall can be a really effective, fun device if done right, like Fleabag or Ferris Bueller.
Yes.
But it's really sad to see them just like overuse it and really mess it up.
Well, because what was happening is they were explaining the story and her thought process as she's telling us, the audience, what's going on in her head. And what they could have easily done, which we don't get to see in the book, is flashbacks, because the entire story is about how she once loved this man and now he's back in her life and she's like 28 years old and like a spinster, and we could have seen that. And instead she just tells us. And that would have been so incredible if we were able to see them fall in love for the first time. And not to mention that these two actors, Dakota Johnson and the other guy, he's kind of like a no-name, they don't have any chemistry. And Henry Golding's in this movie, and he plays like the evil guy, like the guy that she shouldn't be falling in love with. But they have way more chemistry, and he should have been the main dude, because so it just wasn't swoon worthy, and it was annoying all around.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily, for agreeing with me. I see all your messages.
They did a similar thing in I don't really want to mention it. Okay, never mind. Let's it's my turn. All right. My most disappointing movie of 2022 was Don't Worry, Darling.
Yes.
The whole movie is working up to this big reveal. And you know there's going to be a big reveal. It's very clear in the trailers that something's going on and we don't know what it is. And the reveal did not pay off. And it almost, like, it could have for me if the movie kept going. What happens is, like, we start to see what's happening and you start to care. And then the movie ends before you can see what happens at the end. They set up this situation where the stakes are high and she needs to, like, escape the stakes, right? And she's running and trying to escape them. And then, like, we get the inkling that she might escape and then the movie ends. But there's still another obstacle after she escapes this obstacle. And they've already set it up and they don't let it play out. So we don't know if she actually escaped. And this is like the only saving grace for the film for me, because I don't like what the actual twist was, because there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of setups that don't pay off. And it was like an episode of Lost that didn't have the full character arc. Yeah. And if you have a full character arc, then you can forgive any plot holes. But if you don't, and there are plot holes, it was just like, wow, they did all this buildup and I got no payoff for nothing. And there was so much weird stuff that I feel like afterward, Natasha and I were like, but couldn't they have just done this? What if they could just do this? What was this about? And it was just like, if you have that many unanswered questions and that many things that doesn't make sense, you can't come out of that movie being like, oh, that was good.
Yeah. It was a very unsatisfying film to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, I have to say, like, Harry Styles was not good enough to act in that movie. Florence Pugh was acting circles around him.
He was constantly not good enough to act against Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Who is like the next Meryl Streep of our generation. So.
It was just like, it was laughable sometimes, his like reactions and stuff. She was like acting her ass off and then he was like, uh-huh.
It was kind of like watching Outlander with Brianna and Claire.
It is. They put like Brianna, who is not up to par with any of those amazing actors, and you come out of it completely. You're like, well, this person doesn't belong. Yeah. So, oof de loof. That was disappointing. All right. Next superlative. This is our last superlative before the actual list. What's the most overrated movie of 2022? So, to explain overrated, I think we all know what overrated means, but it's just something that everyone was talking about and saying that was so great, and then you watch it and you're like,
okay, I'll go first. Mine's probably gonna hurt people's feelings. Okay, so Banshees of Inisherin, as people just call Banshees. This is the, not the Simon Cowell. What's his name? Frick-a-frack. Oh, what's his name?
Colin
Firth.
Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Firth is cute. Farrell is like Schmolder.
Yes. Okay. So this is Colin Farrell, the movie that Taylor Swift interviewed the director of. And I watched it with my brother. I'd already talked about this but I didn't really talk about how overrated it was. No, it was good. However, as you sit and think about this movie for a while, it was, a little much. It wasn't. I'm trying to explain this in a way where I don't hurt people's feelings. So there's a lot of things that play out in this film that are kind of like unnecessary. There's a lot of like self-harm, and you don't really get that from like the trailer. So when you go into it, I think like there needs to be some trigger warnings of the stuff that happens and goes down in this like very small rural town of Ireland. And I think everything was well acted. I just think the entire story of the film was honestly unneeded, because there was a lot of, like I said, triggers, self-harm. There's a whole story about a best friend, but it just gets super dark, and it's like a dark comedy, but you really just don't laugh. And there's also animal violence. It's just not, it's a lot. And I think it was a bit overrated, and people were saying how beautiful of a story it was because it was probably so intimate and because it's only really expressed within a few different characters. But yeah, I agree. Naomi was saying for Banshees, I prefer the sister story. And I definitely agree with that. There's a sister and brother, Colin Farrell, and her in this story reminded me of myself, where she's like the mediator and the one who's always coming in to save the day, and then she finally leaves and finds her own happiness. But yeah, I think it was overrated because I mean, just if there's an Academy Award winning film or Academy nominated film, like I want to feel a certain way where I feel like that was incredible, but not have this like icky feeling.
Yeah, you want to have this well-rounded kind of, it had sad, it had happy, it had everything that you want in a film sort of feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I want, and that's how I can usually tell what's going to win, because that's the one that gave me all of those feelings and happy feelings too. It has to have the happy feelings, but a lot of them just come in hard with the sad, depressing feelings, and that one never usually takes the win, because it has to also give you that like hope, like fuzzies.
Yeah.
All right. Emily says Glass Onion would be her most overrated. Interesting.
I can see that.
All right. I can see it too. But I do think there were good things about that movie as well. Mm-hmm. All right. Here's the list.
Wait, you didn't share yours.
Oh, fuck. All right. My most overrated movie of 2022 was Licorice Pizza. Now, everyone was talking about, like, what a revelation I feel like this film was. Licorice Pizza was so good. And it was, like, this really indie film group of people that were like, oh, my God. And this came out during the time where I was doing, like, my dating experiment of January 2022. And so one of these guys was like super into movies, and he was like, oh my God, Licorice Pizza was excellent, and we were gonna go see a movie. We actually went on a second date and we were gonna go see a movie, and I was like, okay, Licorice Pizza is the only thing that's good that's playing, so do you want to see that again? He was like, I would love to see it again. So we go to see this movie, and it's like very, very, very long, and it's one of those movies that doesn't really have an overarching plot. We're just watching like the lives of these people in the 70s. And I'm not saying it was bad. The acting was fantastic. And there were all these like really great moments. But I just feel like for the hype of the film, it wasn't a film that had a nice like overarching storyline. Like the characters kind of, we watched them go through this time in their lives. And every time we got to like a part where I thought we were like coming to the end, the third act, it would be just like another act and another act, and I was just like, where are we going? Like, what's the end game here? What's the point? Like, and it was kind of like watching, I would compare it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where you're kind of like, there's a lot of gratuitous storytelling that doesn't have to do with the overarching story. That's kind of just there. Because when you're watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you're watching for Brad Pitt and Leo mostly. Like, those are the characters we care about. But we've also got this Marilyn Manson storyline running through it, and the storyline with Margot Robbie that's kind of just there, but that ends up tying into it a little bit at the end. And it's just kind of like you're enjoying Hollywood, and that's the same. You're like enjoying the Valley in the 70s and 60s in Licorice Pizza. It's the aesthetic, and the characters are lovable, don't get me wrong, but like what's their story? Like, they're kind of in a love story, but it's kind of like weird because she's old and he's a youth. Like, it's a love story between a 25-year-old and I think he's only like 15 when the movie starts. Like, they like each other, but nothing happens, and then he starts to get older and he keeps hitting on her, and like she kind of likes him, and it's kind of weird, but cute, but weird. And like nothing happens till it's like super inappropriate, I think, until they're older, but it was weird. Anyway, it was just overrated. Like, I didn't hate it. I was just like, when's the end? When's the end? Is this the end? Is this the end? Yeah.
Naomi says most overrated for me was Nope.
Wow,
I
that was
don't
on
agree.
both of our best lists. Damn, Naomi.
Savage.
I know. All right, what was? Oh, now we're to the list. Okay, we've made it to our top 5 worst list. Okay, number 5. Working up to the most worst of the year. Natasha, what you got for us?
Okay, Morbius. Oh God. Morbius is probably one of the worst superhero movie films I've ever seen in my life. Like I was trying to decide.
Is it really a superhero movie? Is it?
He's like an anti-hero. He's like they're setting up for the Sinister Six. That's what Sony's doing.
Oh.
So I went to the premiere to watch this. And now it's kind of sad because we have, what the fuck is his name?
Jared Leto?
Not Jared Leto, but yeah, him. Matt Smith. Come on, girl. Okay. Matt Smith is in Morbius, and I was really excited to see him in this and like do something different because he played a villain. And, I mean, he plays villains before, but like I wanted him in a big Hollywood movie. And there's this whole scene which is like so gifified where he's like dancing because he gets like the juice that Morbius uses, and he's like a vampire now. Anyways, so it basically is just like a vampire is like an anti-hero supervillain kind of hero thing. That's Morbius. He's like a hero. And then we have Matt Smith, who's like the villain. And they're both sickly, like terminal people. And then they each like suck up this venom stuff. Okay. The effects were terrible. Like their vampire faces were honestly the most laughable things I've ever seen in my life. And it was just not great. It was really bad.
That's upsetting. I didn't go anywhere near that movie.
Well, and then at the end they do this whole setup with Vulture, who is played by
Batman.
Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
Batman, and they're just so like they're so excited about setting up Sinister Six, and it's just I just have no faith. It's so bad, and they're so serious at this like meetup scene, and it's like Jared Leto's like driving in his sports car like across the desert, and then we see like wings in the background, and then like Jared Leto walks out, and he's like, "So, what did you want to talk to me about?" I'm like, this is not the Avengers.
Oh God.
Calm down.
See, I don't know if I think it was Paul that was talking about this with me. But we have completely oversaturated the market with quote superhero movies.
Yes.
And he was comparing it to the 60s where westerns were just everything and everywhere, and it got so oversaturated they just stopped making westerns for like so long, and you see them peppered here and there now, but it's not like a thing that it's not like, I don't know, something that it brings people, you know, it's not like, oh, we're making a western, everyone wants to see it, that sort of a thing. And the same thing is happening with the superhero movies almost. Like we've gone over a decade now with it being like the thing, and now everyone's so burned out. And I've never been less excited about I was so into everything for so long.
Same.
And now they're lacking in quality. It's like they don't care as much about them, and it's more about quantity than quality, and they're everywhere, and I just don't have the urge to see them at all. I'm not like excited about watching them, and I'm so sad because never mind, we haven't gotten to it. This one's on, there's another superhero movie on the top 5 that I was really sad about because it was just not as good. It's like they're not putting as much effort into any aspect of it than they were in the beginning, because they're tired of it too, maybe.
Later down the line. Okay, we
have to have an episode. My number 5 is Avatar, The Way of Water. Now, I'm not saying this was a horrible film, but I didn't see, like, going down my list, I saw a lot of films I just didn't love. And this is when I felt strongly about being upset about. It was, like, most disappointing almost because I was so excited for it. It was another one that's, like, they keep making movies that are so long. And, like, our attention spans have gotten so short since the pandemic. That a movie, like, I'm fine with 2 hours, but, like, take me to 3, and if it's not jam-packed with story, then I'm gonna be upset, because the whole time I was just, like, editing the movie in my head. I was like, this could have been moved. This should have come up faster. Like, there was so much about the whales ended up being an integral part of this story and the plot, and I was like, why weren't we introduced to them as soon as we got to the water world, so that we started to care about them and know that they were important? Because when we were first introduced to them through one of the kids, it was like, what is this whale? We have no idea that there's a relationship between the people and the whales. And if we did through some random conversation, it did not, like, sink into me because we didn't see the whales. So how are we supposed to know what they called them and stuff? So I feel like there were a lot of edits that could have been made on that film. They took so much time making it, and it just didn't live up to what it could have been in terms of story, and it just was very gratuitous in a lot of moments just for the look of it. It reminded me of one of my other worst films from another year that was most disappointing, Tenet, where, like, there were so many gratuitous scenes where it's just like, what would this look like if we did it backwards? It's cool. And, like, if it doesn't have meaning behind it, it's not cool. It's just making the movie longer and making it harder to stay in it. With Tenet, it was like there was so much information we weren't given that you could have used this time to, like, explain our characters, that just let them have a personality and let them talk. But we spent a lot of time going backwards, and it was the same sort of thing for me in this.
Emily says the look is all that matters in Avatar.
Well, it's like, then make a TV show. Avatar should have been a show. I don't understand why it's not. Like, he wants to do all these movies. Those are seasons. Like, this could have been a season, and we could have gotten to know all these characters and cared about all their separate lines. But there was, like, an ensemble smushed into a movie where they also wanted to do gratuitous shots of the water.
Yeah, he would have never done a TV show. He loves his box office. Like,
I know, but if he wanted to do this, this is a show.
It's true. I don't necessarily agree with you because I did enjoy Avatar. I don't think it would have been on my worst movie list, but it wasn't on my top, so it's just kind of like in there. And I do agree. I loved watching it in 3D, and I felt like I was in the world. But like I've said when we talked about this before Christmas, like I just can't really forgive him for not using diverse actors in roles that obviously are taken from Native and Black culture. So
there's
that's
so many
why
things like that.
What?
There's like a lot of little things like that add up. Like, I also, like, I don't think I mentioned this when we were talking about it before, but the villain, like, he had the same line like 5 times where it's like, show me the money, and it was like the most cliche line of all time. It's like, we get it, this is the greedy bastard, okay? Like, we're not idiots. Like, it's condescending and it's dumb. It's like lazy writing. Like, why is he saying show me the money over and over and over and over? He's like a cartoon villain in the Looney Tunes.
I don't know. I wish he wasn't back as well. Like, I wish.
Oh yeah, that villain. I was talking about the one that was like wailing.
Wailing?
Like, he was trying to kill the whales. That guy.
Oh, him.
Oh, he was like so cliche. Everything that came out of his mouth. I was like, oh.
Yeah. All right, number 4. My number 4 is Lightyear. Did you watch this?
I didn't, because I heard it was boring.
Yes.
Did you like
it? I told you that.
Okay.
So Lightyear is the story of Buzz Lightyear, and it's the story of why those toys in Toy Story are so popular. And Chris Evans plays Buzz Lightyear, And I think I watched this without children. Like, I didn't have my nephew with me. And it was just, it wasn't great. So I don't think the story was necessary. And I don't know. I would have liked maybe another Toy Story over a Lightyear movie.
Yeah, I feel like they should stop Toy Story 2, though, because they had a great trio, and then the fourth one wasn't as good as the third.
I think so, too. I think they need to stop with all the Toy Story.
Just do new stuff.
Just new stuff. We love Pixar for all their new stuff.
Yeah,
and
not Cars. No more Cars, please.
No more Cars. Oh, my nephew loves Cars, so like if they want to do more Cars, then let him have it.
They've had so many.
He loves Lightning McQueen. But yeah, no, Lightyear was, I honestly don't even remember the plot of the whole story, but, was unnecessary. Okay, your fourth one.
My fourth one. Okay, so my number 4 this year is the Weird Al Yankovic story, and this is one that started out really promising. It's got a really cheesy tone, and it's purposeful, and the tone was great. And then when we moved to Act 3, suddenly shit just, like, they didn't know what to do with it. It was just, like, went crazy. I was watching this with my brother over the Christmas break, and we were enjoying it so much up to Act 3. Like, we loved Dan Radcliffe as Weird Al Yankovic. He was doing such a good job. There's this amazing scene where he writes, "My Bologna," and it's so good the way that they did it. It's like very surreal, kind of how he comes up with the song. It's like it's so on tone with the whole thing. It's very satirical, because he was doing a satire basically of the biopics of all these musicians and how like dramatized they are, and his whole story is kind of very lighthearted, but he makes it like really dramatic. And it's all this silly stuff that's been really dramatized. So it's really fun. And then we get to the third act, and all of a sudden he's like rescuing Madonna in like some random country with like she's been arrested for like by a drug lord or something. I don't know. It just goes way off the rails, and then it just keeps being off the rails till the end. It was like, what happened here? It was on my way to being like the most surprisingly good movie. And then it went, oh. So I don't hate this movie by any means, and I was just kind of like, I put movies I had strong feelings for on this list, not the ones that were just bad, because if they were just bad, then I don't have stuff to say as much as I do like this, because it was good, and then it was like, what's happening?
I had no idea this movie even existed.
Yeah, it's on Roku, but you can watch it for free. It's not like you have to pay. And Paul really wanted to watch it because he likes Weird Al, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. I want to see Dan in this movie, and we were having such a good time until Act 3. Oh my this gosh. Is, I feel like, been a running trend with a lot of films. It's like they Act 3 hasn't been great in a lot of movies. It's a big issue, like the movie not knowing how to end. I've kind of, I don't know, I've seen this trend throughout the last 5 years a lot, I feel like.
I agree with that, because that's why I usually don't like to watch the end of some of my favorite movies, even though they are my favorite movies.
Like Wonder Woman.
Like Wonder Woman, or Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie, but I also like don't care to watch the end of it. And same with Twilight. Like I could care less to watch the end of Twilight. Like I love everything that builds up. But I love New Moon in its entirety.
I love New Moon in its entirety. We've got to watch that soon. Can we watch New Moon soon? Because I've had the craving.
Yes, let's do it. All right, our number 3 is the same. Now, this was intentional because it was going to be on my list anyways, but I'm like, I'll just make it the same because that way we can talk about it at the same time.
Yes.
So our number 3 is Thor: Love and Thunder, unfortunately.
Yes.
So sad.
I love Thor. And Thor Ragnarok is like one of my favorite movies ever. And I love Taika and his humor, and I've loved all of his films until Thor Love and Thunder, where it was just so silly. There was no groundedness to it. And then there was like the sad moments. There was no the tone was wildly all over the place. Yeah. And there was nothing to ground the film in some sort of reality so that when it's goofy, it's funny. If it's all goofy, nothing's funny. That's the thing. You need to have the tension and break the tension. That's why it's funny. That's what comedy is. And if there was just no build tension, everything was silly and off the wall. And I had a hard time finishing it. I had to stop multiple times. You saw it in the theater though, right?
I did. Yeah, it's I just thought, I feel like what they did is they cut out a lot of slower bits. Now there's like a whole scene with him and Zeus that should have been in the film. I feel like they just took like an axe to the film in the editing room, and they're like, let's just make it all funny because that's what everyone loved last time. And it was detrimental to the storyline. And like at the end, when one of the characters dies, I wasn't that sad because we weren't able to really feel it.
I was more mad.
And I mean, I really love the whole sequence with Christian Bale at the end, like in the black and white world. I thought that was interesting, but like, I feel like as soon as it happened, we're like, oh, we're already here. We're already in the third act of the film. Like, what the heck? Like, it was just so fast. Yeah. And I think because we're meeting this character after Avengers, after like the entire world just like fell apart and then came back together again, we really needed to sit with him more and not make it such like a joke. Like, not like fast forward through all of him, you know, getting back to his best self and everything with Guardians. Like, there's so many things that happened in this film that was way too fast, and we needed to, like, he just lost everything, and now he's losing something else in the movie, and it should have been.
Yeah, it should have been like an emotional film, like a coming back into himself sort of movie, because through Avengers, he kind of starts to like heal, right? In the second one, I can't remember because I only saw the second one.
I mean, no, because I mean we had Fat Thor, and then
like, but and was then he back to kind normal of just by the end of it?
No, he was still in his fat suit. So no.
So I thought that they were going to like have a whole thing with him in the Guardians, like healing, like being around found family, sort of a story.
I mean, they did, but then they didn't. It was like, okay, you've been in my house too long. Shoo.
Yeah, they should have like done it together. Like that could have been a really fun movie that also has lots of like emotional moments where he's like learning to trust people again. And the thing is, I can see what you're saying. They probably did chop this up to try to like make it funny and not like understand that like to have something be funny, you have to have some things be emotional and grounded in reality. And we could have had a really nice like grounded movie without a huge big bad. Like have the big bad be like the disease, you know, like it didn't have to be so action hero focused, because there were a lot of action moments that I felt like kind of didn't, it just felt like out of the blue because they hadn't grounded all these different rules and of, I don't know, like didn't he just give his power to a bunch of kids? I was just like, how?
Yeah.
What is this?
It just feels like a lot of these movies are the gateway to setting up the next Thor, the next Ant-Man, the next, you know, the next person.
Yeah, but like that's losing the heart of why Marvel was so great, is that they took their time with each person's individual story and then they added up at the end. Like they weren't like doing it for this movie.
Yeah. And I think that's my hope for Bob Iger coming back, because he basically told Marvel, he's like, we're not doing as many TV shows as we just did. Like, we need to scale back and focus on exactly what the heart of Marvel is. So I'm hopeful that we'll see better projects moving forward. But again, I just think the world we need a break from.
Yeah, it's it's turning to mush because there's all these different things they're just pulling out of thin air and not setting up properly. Yeah. There's no foundation anymore.
Like Phase 4 is technically done with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So, but exactly like what exactly happened in Phase 4? You know, it was just a lot of setup.
Nothing.
Like,
yeah.
A lot of new characters we met. A lot of healing, I guess, but not really.
No, but they didn't have a healing story for anyone except for No Way Home,
which was the best of the entire phase.
I mean, that was one of the best movies I've ever seen, and like, it's the best, one of the best movies of all time. That was the only movie I remember from this phase. If the Christmas special, if you're going to count that, the Christmas special.
Did you ever watch Werewolf by Night? I forgot to put this in. That was really good. So it's like this like small little short story movie that they put on. It was like the Halloween special for Disney Plus. That was great. So I do love these little specials that they're doing, that are much different in tone than the rest of what we've been seeing.
Yeah. But yeah, at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder, I was just pissed that like another female character bites the fucking dust as soon as she gets her powers. Like, it's just endless. Like, oh, we have a great female character that's now a superhero, let's fucking kill her, or let's fucking make her evil and get her off the table. I just can't stand it. It's really frustrating. And when they do it, they don't even give her a proper arc. Like, she doesn't get her time to shine. And like, this could have just been her movie, and then in another movie maybe something could have happened, but they just kill people.
Yep.
We're going to talk more about this in a second, so I'm going to stop. All right, so let's move on. What was your number 2?
My number 2 is Persuasion. I already talked about this, about how much I fucking hated it. But yeah, I had to put it on most disappointing and then my top list because it was that just terrible. All right, what was your number 2?
My number 2 is really silly. It was just terrible. But like, it was the Lindsay Lohan comeback movie, Falling for Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
It just was like so silly, and like the script was just like a nothing burger.
It was supposed to be bad.
I know it was. It was one of those bad Christmas movies. I put it on here because,
but it was also,
it feels like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like, even though it's supposed to be like a bad Christmas movie, it was actually really bad, and they didn't have a lot of chemistry.
I thought you were gonna say it was actually cute. Like, you're like, no, it was actually really bad. Like, there was no heart to it that I could get on board with. You know, like, sometimes it's silly, but it's kind of sweet. But it had like really silly montages and no dialogue that made you feel anything at all. And I was just like, this is Lindsay's comeback movie. Like, I know she can act. But I know she probably wanted like a soft launch back into society, and she probably had a lot of fun filming the film, so it's understandable. And it's the only movie that's like actually, I would say, like bad from all aspects that's on this list. You know, every other movie I could say good things about. But yeah, this one was like, ooh, ouch.
I liked her outfits.
Yeah. But I hated her influencer boyfriend. Like, I hate when they make like all these people on social media like dumb
vapid dumb people, like
the dumbest people on the face of the earth. And it's just like, oh god, please. Like, you have to be like an intelligent person to like get to a point where you can do that as your job, because it takes a lot of marketing strategy.
All right. Number one.
We've got the same number 1.
Yep. I knew this from the beginning. I'm like, this is my number 1.
I did too. It was the first thing I filled in. We had such strong feelings about this movie. I don't know if you, okay, so it's Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
And so Natasha went to the premiere for this, and she had a good time at the premiere, but did not talk about the movie after. So
no, I couldn't.
Yeah, and I didn't want any spoilers, so I like didn't ask at all. I just saw that she just didn't say anything. And we were going to a special screening after the premiere, and she went to see it a second time with me. And I was so mad during that movie.
Okay, Christine watching Spider-Man No Way Home was very
Vocal?
No, you were very vocal and like you were just jumping out of your seat, like all good things. In No Way Home, it was just like, what the fuck? Like I just whisper anger at me, and I'm like, I know.
I was just sitting there like stewing in anger with every new thing that pissed me off. Like, and then after that movie, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but like I went into my car and I recorded this like impassioned rant about how much I hated the film.
Oh my gosh.
And how upset. And then Natasha and I were together the next day, and just playing it back was just hysterical because I was so mad. Like, should I get the clip? Like, I feel like I should play it.
I think that would be funny because I can't remember everything because I didn't watch. I've only seen it twice, but I couldn't get over. I think that's the overarching theme here is that we've just demolished all of our female superheroes within Phase 4. Not only did it started with killing off fucking Black Widow, our original female superhero, okay?
That we never got to see fly. Like,
no.
She never got a solo movie that had to do with the movies. And then her movie, like, took place in the past and had a bad third act.
Yeah, that was frustrating. And then we get WandaVision, which is probably one of my most favorite like things on television I have ever seen, okay? And we got the kids. We got to see her like be good again. Or not good again.
It was like this amazing mental health journey of like grief and acceptance and like love and family, and it was just so touching. And then they took that and scrambled it into something that cliche and horrible that we've been trying to stop doing in media, like just making women into these like crazy mother figures.
Karen. She was a crazy Karen.
Yes. And like they did the same thing to Dani, and we were all fucking pissed because if you're going to do that to a character, it has to be a gradual arc that makes sense. And they just do it to women, they just turn them on a dime. Like all of a sudden she's this evil psycho that is murdering everyone in sight. It just doesn't make any sense. And they did so much work, so much beautiful work in WandaVision just to tear it up in an instant in this movie. And no one cared about Doctor Strange in this movie. Did you give a shit? I don't even remember what he did. Like, I don't fucking care. It was all just like her being crazy psycho.
Yeah, it was all just her being a crazy psycho, and then also bringing in characters in
that just in the
Illuminati that I was so excited to see. Like, we got to see Mr. Fantastic, and then we got to see Xavier from X-Men in his freaking wheelchair, and like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting. And then 5 seconds later she just kills them, and I'm like, I was so irritated watching that I mean, obviously it was to show how powerful she is, but I'm like, thank you.
That in other ways.
But you could have showed that other ways. And like, thank you for bringing in these little morsels of characters that we have wanted to see, and now they're just dead. So it's like, what's the point of ever bringing them into the universe now?
Yeah, and they're big actors. Let me just play this really quick. Okay.
Oh, wait. I have never been so disappointed in a Marvel movie in my entire life. There have been a lot of Marvel movies. I cried during this movie because of how upset I was about how bad it was. That is how bad it was. I cried for Wanda. I cried for WandaVision. I cried for what you did to it. What were you thinking? Who let this happen? Who approved this message? So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Who approved this message?
I was crying in there because I was so upset.
Well, that, and we were supposed to have like a horror movie, and it wasn't scary at all. Like the only like scary points is when she was like coming out of the mirror, and that was just bad CGI. And then we have this whole arc with a different Christine.
Christine?
With a different Rachel McAdams.
Oh.
And then
my God.
there's this dumb, I can't remember the line where he's like
it was a horrible line. There were such cheesy lines between Christine and Doctor Strange. Like when she was like helping him in that world. I forget even what was going on, but she was there helping, and
she's like, come back from the dead, or like, go back from where you came from, something like that.
The whole thing, all the dialogue was horrible, and they have this exchange that she says like a classic like action babe line that's just so terrible. I just can't even remember it because it was so bad. I was just very, very, very disappointed, and people loved it. And that's what was really upsetting. It was so much worse to come out of it being so upset and then like talk to other people and they're like, oh, it was great. Like, how could you think this was great?
Mm-hmm.
I was so sure that my one friend was going to share our thoughts, and then they loved it because of how like weird Wanda was and how like creepy and like spooky she was. And it's like, yeah, but you're missing the point that like we finally had a really great female character that went through all this healing, and then they just threw her away. And don't get me started on like killing her at the end and how long it took for her to kill her little hostage, that she murdered everyone else in half a second. And then this girl was there and it took her like the whole Doctor Strange journey to get to her. And she still hadn't died.
Yeah, America Chavez. And then I'm like, the only thing I did like about this movie was like when Doctor Strange was in Zombie Strange.
I was rolling my eyes this entire time.
Okay, but the movie was directed by Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi did
Spider-Man 1 and 2.
1 and 2. And 3. And it wasn't Spider-Man 1, 2, or 3. I mean, Spider-Man 3 wasn't great, but still, like, so
that was our top 5 worst movies of 2022. Turned into a really big, upsetting rant about Marvel, honestly.
Yeah, you know, Ant-Man's coming out in like 2 weeks, and I am like, I could care less.
Zero care.
The only thing I care about in Marvel right now is Loki season 2. That's like the only thing.
The only thing I care about is Daredevil coming back into my life and Hawkeye.
Yes.
I loved the Hawkeye show.
I did too.
And Daredevil is like coming through on the periphery of that show, and I want it to.
Yeah, Daredevil's coming in the I can't remember her name. But Daredevil coming in She-Hulk, that was great.
See, I still haven't watched. I haven't gotten to that point. And I know that I'm going to love Daredevil being involved, but I just hate the She-Hulk. I hate the actual green CGI. I love Tatiana.
I didn't mind it, but I do love that show.
Yeah. So I'm that's the only thing I'm holding on to. I should rewatch Daredevil. I want to rewatch the 3rd season. It's perfect.
Well, yeah, now that Marvel is doing full Daredevil season 4, because I think we're getting 14
It's
episodes.
called season 4?
Season 4, yeah, it's a continuation of the show. I hope it holds the same, like the same
I hope they
type
get
of
everyone back. They need to get the cinematographer and the showrunner back.
Mm-hmm.
And like the stunt people, because those stunts were like they were TV changing stunt sequences. If you haven't watched Daredevil on Netflix, go watch it. It's top-notch television.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
All right, let's move on.
All right. All right. This week in Marry, Kiss, Cliff, we have Edward Cullen, Damon Salvatore, or Brad Pitt in vampire makeup. Natasha, what are you doing?
I'm obviously going to Cliff Brad Pitt.
What? How?
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh my gosh, the Brad.
I'm going to...
Emily said she would kill Brad Pitt too.
Yeah, that's easy. You should have made it a little harder by putting, I don't know, like Emmett or some other vampire that I like.
What? I love the Brad. I would never Cliff the Brad.
Okay. And then I'm going to kiss Damon Salvatore and marry Edward Cullen.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna marry Edward Cullen.
Yeah, I'm making my teenage dreams happen.
Ugh, I might have to marry Edward Cullen because marrying Damon Salvatore is not a good idea, probably. Well, I guess I'm gonna cliff Damon Salvatore because I'm not cliffing Brad Pitt. Damon might live anyway, like, and come murder me. And Brad Pitt is a person. It's just in vampire makeup. I would kiss Brad Pitt, and then I guess I'd marry.
Oh,
Edward
I thought you
Cullen.
meant like actual from, the Interview with the Vampire.
No, it's just the actual person in the makeup.
I thought you didn't know his name. Interview with the Vampire.
No,
It's not Lestrade or whatever. It's the other guy's name.
I think it is Lestrade or something.
No,
or is that Tom Cruise?
That's Tom Cruise.
Wow, I can't believe I remembered it was Tom Cruise. It just came into me when I was like saying Lestrade. But yeah, Damon Salvatore, I'm gonna cliff him. I'm gonna cliff him, and then he's gonna just race back up and be like, "Bitch, die."
Edward
is
always falling off cliffs.
Yeah, Edward will actually defend me, so it'll be fine. My husband will kill Damon Salvatore. All right. That's actually our show this week, since we are not doing chapter chat because we've already gone long.
Oh, yeah.
We've already gone long. And Natasha wasn't feeling well, so we're going to cut a little bit off the show. So we'll be back reading chapters 20 and 21, discussing chapters 20 and 21 of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas next week. Things are heating up over there. We're about to meet Rysand, so we're excited. And we're about to go record our Fangirl Tea Time episode this week. We're going to be talking about our first concerts and our best concerts, and of course, updates on our lives like we do every week. And that'll be available at the $5 tier and up on Patreon if you're interested. But thank you all for joining us. We want to just say that our podcast is edited by Jake Needham and Alex Polis. The music is by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Troska. All of the links to all of our socials are in the show notes below, so you can find us over there, follow us on the different places so you can see what we're up to and what, know when a new episode is coming and all that stuff. And we will see you next Friday. We make episodes every Friday. My name's Christine.
I'm Natasha.
And we will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.